Hey everybody, Lagmus Prime here. So today I'm going to do a trailer analysis video this time. I wanted to wait until I got a better understanding of the game to do this video. So we're going to go through here. I'm going to pause the video at some points to see what the cards say and do. And yeah, we'll take a look at some of the battlefield things as well to see what is happening to get maybe a better understanding of what this later game stuff might have. But yeah, let's get to it. Okay, so we get our first look at Medabots and Rokusho. They're going to both have 5,000 power. They're both going to be bipedal legs, and I will show on the screen what exactly those cards do. They seem to lower action costs, so that could be pretty helpful. Rokusho will be a physical type, whereas Medabots will be a shooting type. That makes sense. They're both going to cost 6 energy to attack with. So I'm thinking these were probably some of the beginning cards that they maybe made because they're so simple. You'll see some cards here in a bit where there's a lot more effects to it than what is happening here. They both have different rapid cooling costs. Medabots will be 2, whereas Rokusho will be 4. I believe that's because Medabots requires a lot of energy to use his abilities, such as right now you'll see his main ability is aiming. It is a keyword. Essentially, what this is doing is like effect damage. You pay that cost that's on the screen right now, which would be 6. And essentially, you're taking the power that he has, and you're essentially doing like a shooting attack or like a effect damage. So if there's a card that says, if this Medabot attacks, you do this instead. Well, he's not technically attacking. He's using an effect. So yeah, and then we also have Glamour on Rokusho. I'm not quite sure if that's Google Translate messing it up, but we haven't actually seen that yet. But his ability is a passive one, so that might explain why his rapid cooling is so high. Okay, so there's not much happening here. We're just seeing the cards being transported from the hand to the field. There's no cost to playing Medabots, as we know, but we do get to see a couple of Medabots here. We get to see Totalizer, we get to see Parallel, we get to see Noctobat, and a couple of others there. I don't quite know the names, but this seems to be at the very beginning of the game. So there's no Medabots on the field, both barriers at 6, both players starting at 10. So this is pretty much just the intro to a game.
Fighters, ready? Medabots, Robattle!
And little side note, what I've noticed here is that the players both only have one Metaforce card, so I'm not quite sure. Maybe you might be able to only have one Metaforce card when you play a game. Okay, so a couple of things I've noticed here. They're showing off the cross attack here, where you take 2 Medabots, combine their power together, and attack a single Medabot on the other side of the field. But I'm noticing that there are abilities that are happening here. If you look, you can see the damage of Rokusho and the Medabot that is attacking. They seem to have the same ability where they're getting 2,000 attack whenever they attack. There is a keyword in the game. I don't think it's what it is that's on the screen right now, but it does increase their power by 2,000 during normal attacks, and then it returns to normal at the end of the attack. We can't see that here because it's about to cut off, but you also notice the metals are different, so you'll go against different levels of metals throughout the game. Okay, this is simple here. It's just showing off what happens when they use the Metaforce card. What this card does is it deals, I think, right here it says 6,000, but I think it does 7,000 now. But what it does is it does a set amount of damage, and if it reaches that damage, or if they have less power whenever you use this, they have to get rid of either a barrier or a part. And the second effect, it will get rid of another part. You're essentially getting rid of 2 things with that one effect. Okay, so bear with me. I'm going to just pause the video here. I'm going to go through these cards. Some of them are a bit hard to read because Google Translate makes the text really small. So bear with me here. Okay, so there are some cards I've seen before, like Icky over there. He just increases Medabots shooting types by 2,000. So I'm going to try to go through some of the cards that we haven't seen before, like this Metafighter right here. Until the end of the turn, increase the support power of all your Medabots by 2,000. So it's pretty much the same as Icky, but for support types. I literally can't read the name of this card, but this is a very simple one. You choose one Medabot, I believe it's shooting type, and you increase its power by 1,000 until the end of the next turn. Okay, now Cross Messiah is interesting because it is a dual type. It is both a shooting and a physical. When a tactical card of this type is used, activate targeted shot on one random opponent's Medabot. So his effect is actually really unique. So I think whenever you use a shooting tactical card, you activate I think it's the shooting effect on a random opponent's Medabot. So that's actually really unique. And then his other ability, Gamushara, is that keyword where you gain the attack of 2,000 at the start of your attack, and then you'll lose it at the end. But it says here this effect lasts until the start of your next turn. So he might get that damage boost, and it lasts until his next turn. So you have a bit more defense with this card, too. Now I'm going to skip God Emperor for right now, and I'm going to go down to Similodon because it's the same thing as Cross Messiah. It is a dual type. It has both physical and a trap type. It has the Gamushara ability again. It'll give 2 physical tactical icons to your side of the field. So when it attacks, it'll gain that 2,000 damage and then lose it at the end of the attack. But it also says, its other effect, Crossfight, when performing a cross attack using only your own type of Medabot, the action cost is reduced by 2. So my guess is that his ability would be if you attack with like just one singular type, like if they're all physical or if they're all trap types, it'll reduce the cost by 2. That is my guess, but we could definitely be wrong. Next, we have the Phantom Renegade. This is actually one of my favorite characters in the anime.
Why me? Why?
But his effect is very simple. All traps do not activate until the end of your opponent's turn. So this is a straight counter to trap type Medabots or effects. Okay, we get to see a pretty unique Metaforce card right here. So during this battle, Robattle, add 2 random copies of cards you use from your hand to your deck. So this is a very, very strange kind of Metaforce card, all reversed. So essentially, you're just gaining 2 random copies of cards that you've used from your hand to your deck. So I don't know exactly if that means something you've used or you just add 2 random copies of cards from your hand to your deck, or from your deck to your hand. I don't know. Either way, it sounds very interesting. Okay, so now we get to God Emperor. This is one of the late game cards that you want to use because he costs 10 to attack and you have to have 3 or fewer barrier to be able to actually play him. If you do play him, you do get 2 tactical shooting type icons. He has a 6 power hyper missile action. So you choose one of your opponent's Medabots and deal 20,000 damage to it. Sounds a bit overkill because I don't know if there's going to be too many cards that can get up to 20,000. But it says if targeted shot has been activated 2 or more times this turn, deal an additional 20,000 damage. So I'm not sure, but it sounds like this thing can hit twice for just a single cost of 6 energy if at least that activated effect of doing that effect damage instead of attacking has happened more than 2 times that turn. Seems like a bit overkill, and these cards can change, so this might not be the final one, but still, God Emperor is pretty strong. It sounds like it's pretty strong anyway. Okay, so we do also get a little bit of a sneak peek at Arc Beetle. He has Hyper Beam action. It is a targeted attack for leader only, so I think it's that shooting type of attack again. It says if you have 2 or fewer barriers remaining and this effect destroys an opponent leader's part or barrier, you choose one additional opponent's part and destroy it. So he's essentially just a pretty hefty, strong attacker. He's like, if I get rid of your barrier or part, you're getting rid of another barrier or part. And we get to see one of the support Medabots. So what this one does is you pay 2 to choose one of your Medabots, increase its power by 1,000 to the end of or at the start of your next turn. And then this Medabot cannot be rapidly cooled during this turn. So you're essentially paying 2 to increase the power of something by 1,000 until the start of your next turn. So it's a small supportive kind of Medabot. So this could possibly be a very powerful type of Metaforce card. So usually recovery effects are very strong in some games. So what Hyper Repair does is if you're at 2 barrier or less, you can activate this Metaforce card. And essentially, I can't quite read what it says, but it says it's sort of, you can take a card from your hand and turn it into a barrier. So essentially, if you're down to 2 barriers and then you use your Metaforce card, you can take a card from your hand, put it as a barrier, and you go back up to 3. So you kind of get a little bit more time to fight back. We'll see how strong that could possibly be in the future. I do know that in some games where you recover, especially like the Digimon TCG, recovering security, can be quite powerful at times.
It's okay.
Okay, so we get to the part where we haven't seen very much, so I don't know exactly how everything is going to go here. But we're at deck building, which I hope they show off a little bit more in the future, because I really want to see how to actually build the decks. But we do get to see what the arm parts do for some of these leaders. So for Medabots here, his submachine gun, choose one of your opponent's Medabots and deal 3,000 damage to it as a 2-cost action. When this effect destroys a target, gain 1 random tactical card of the type. So if you actually destroy a Medabot with this left arm, you get a shooting type icon to play more tactical cards with. Now we do get to see a more clear version of Arc Beetle. It has the same stuff as I said before, where we get to see that it costs 6 for him to attack. He has 5,000 power. His cooldown is 2, and his ability, or at least his arm, it's Mega Gatling. It costs 4 to use. It deals 4,000 damage to all of your opponent's Medabots. For each part, barrier, and Medabot destroyed by this effect, you gain 1 random tactical card of a specific type. I believe it's actually giving another one of those tactical icons, I believe, or it could just be a card. So this thing does 4,000 damage to all of your opponent's Medabots. If you could increase that damage, oh my god, you'd be board wiping pretty hard with this character. Okay, here is Noctobat. So he has 5,000 power, 2 cooldown. It has the aerial leg type. It'll cost 6 energy to attack with him. He has a 2-cost ability. Until the end of your opponent's next turn, any second effect your opponent uses that target this Medabot will be negated. So there are negate effects in here. But it's really a very, very specific effect, though. Like any second effect, so that's quite interesting. But its arm is something we've seen before. It is, you choose one of your opponent's Medabots and deal 5,000 damage to it. If your opponent has 4 more tactical stocks, this damage increases by 2,000. I think they changed this effect. I'm not sure, because in the game when I saw this card, it could be another alternative arm part. But the one I saw in the game that they used, it dealt like 6,000 damage to a random, I think it was 6,000, but it dealt like a bunch of damage to a random Medabot, not something you chose to use. So there might be different parts that you can use in this game. Okay, so we're getting to some Medabots I haven't actually seen yet. So this is Abyss Grader 2000. He has 5,000 attack, 2 cooldown. It has 6 power. You need to attack with it. It is shooting type, and it has the underwater legs, or the diving legs. His ability is a passive one. When one of your parts is destroyed, your power increases by 3,000 until the start of your next turn. So he kind of incentivizes whenever you get damaged to get rid of one of your parts, so you get more power in your next turn. His arm is 6 power sacrifice action. Targeted attack a leader only, so it can only target the leader. When this effect destroys an opponent leader's part or barrier, choose one additional opponent's part or barrier and destroy it. Then choose one of your own parts and destroy it. So essentially, you're sacrificing your part to destroy something on their side, I believe. So I've seen this Medabot's part before, but I haven't seen the actual Medabot itself. Ty Behemoth, or T Behemoth, something like that. 6 attack, or 6 to be able to attack, 5,000 damage, 2 cool, and then he has the treads for legs. While the combined energy of both players is, I think it's 8 or less, their power increases by 2,000. So it's kind of wanting you to use a lot of energy, but the fact that both players have to have 8 or less, the opponent could counter that by not doing too much, but you would need the energy to attack. So maybe it's a way to stall. I have no idea, but it's also a way to get power. Now, the arm part under tube is just a 6-cost attack. Essentially, it'll be taking the 5,000 damage right there that Behemoth has, and we'll just do 5,000 effect damage to something. Okay, we get to see a little bit more of deck building here. This is where you're choosing the metals for your deck that'll have your Metaforce cards. As you can see right here, you get to see some of them on the screen. You'll see that Medabots one that we saw earlier, where I said now it says deal 7,000 damage to the opponent's leader. So Like I said, I don't know if they had changed this in the middle of it. Like I said, some of these cards could be wrong either way. Though some of them are the same. Like reload, you need 5 barriers or less to use it. You draw 3 random tactical cards of a specific type from your deck. So you'll get, I know that one for sure, you'll just gain 3 random tactical cards of the shooting type from your deck. And then Sonic Shot, you deal 5,000 damage to all of your opponent's Medabots, so you'll need 4 or less barrier to use it. So I'm not quite sure if like medals are kind of like a loadout kind of thing, or like they're just pre-prepared, or you just have them set for the deck. Like I said, I really hope that they show off more of the deck building so I can figure out more about how things operate there. But as I said, it does seem to be whenever they swapped over from the Kabuto medal over to the Elephant medal, you see that it does have a different card there, and that is Rock Rusher for 3 barrier. You choose one of your opponent's parts and destroy it. So it's just a straight up just get rid of a part. I can see that being very helpful in certain situations, especially whenever they have like 1 barrier left and 1 arm part left, and you're like, I got to get rid of that part, and I only have 1 Medabot that can attack, yada yada. Like I said, I don't know if like these cards can be selected and changed or not, or if the medals just have them as set cards, but we'll find out sometime. Okay, now we do get a good look at when it switches over to the Stag Beetle or Kuwagata medal. So we do get to see the 2 cost on the left. I don't want to pronounce that. I'm going to horribly say that. That's pretty much the same thing as the Medabots one, where it deals 7,000, and then if you destroy a part or barrier, you destroy one of their parts. And then the middle one, though, is a 4 cost binder. Choose one of your opponent's Medabots and deal, I think that's 5,000 damage to it. The target becomes bind until the end of the opponent's turn, so I'm pretty sure that means they can't do anything. And then the last one, which costs 4, you deal 5,000 damage to all of your opponent's Medabots. So it's just another way to deal some really high damage numbers across the board, and maybe just board wipe and get rid of some things that are annoying you. I'm pretty sure this is just showing us some of the meta fighters that'll be in the game for us to fight. Okay, so this section is pretty easy. This is just the practice mode. This is where you go to learn. It'll teach you everything you need to know about the game. So I do have the videos. They actually put out 5 videos on their main channel showing it off, but it was all in Japanese. So I took it and put it into Google Translate. It is in my channel right now. There are the videos. They are translated to English. So if you want to check those out, I'll have them in the description below. But yeah, one of the videos actually does have this particular scene on it. So if you want to learn a little bit more, feel free to watch those. Now this section is another real easy one. This is just saying about that you can play with your friends, play locally or online. Usually most trailers have this. So it's like, oh, you can play this online, play it with your friends, yada yada. People are waiting for you. Now this says some kind of text. I tried translating it, but it's just, I'm not 100% sure. Somebody will have to tell me that one.
Go.
Okay, we get to see a little bit more gameplay going on here. So we do get to see another leader on the screen, Red Matador. For 4 costs, it has complete guard. This Medabot can negate damage once. This effect does not stack. It gains guard until the start of your next turn. So this leader is pretty much a very defensive tank kind of card. I believe right here what we're seeing is Medabots using his arm ability because he's only doing 3,000 instead of 6. And of course, if we know when you do less damage than what is necessary, nothing really happens. So I'm not quite sure what they're doing. I think they're just showing off the abilities. But I do notice something interesting. If you look, you see those little rectangular yellow squares underneath the arms. That means Medabots has 3 left arms and 1 right arm or another spares. So I wonder if you can have a mix and match of different arms. Now here is interesting. Here we're seeing where they're using the Meta Force card, or at least the equivalent of that Medabots one. Although this seems like at this point, the way the game looks, this player is in a very bad spot because he has 1 barrier. The other opponent has 5, And the opponent also has at least 6 trap icons. So this is a pretty late game at this point at the stage. And the opponent seems to only have 1 left arm and then had 4 right arms. So like I said, I think you might be able to customize the deck to see how many arms of a certain type you want. I don't know what the limit for arms that you can have, but there has to be maybe at least 2 extra spare parts or 4 of 1 extra spare part. I'm not 100% sure. Okay, so this is probably one of the more interesting sections. So we get to see a new leader, Armored Chariot, tank type, 6 power to attack, 5,000 power, 2 cooling, wheel type. As 2 passives, while you have 3 Medabots with a specific type, so I'm assuming probably all tank type, on your field, all of your Medabots gain 2,000 power. So he's getting 2 plus 1 with his arm, so he's up to 8. And he can't attack. So I'm assuming that this Medabot is really a defensive style kind of deck that you're wanting to make. We're also seeing various things on the board here. We get to see God Emperor's ability in action, where he's going to be dealing 20,000 damage to something. But if you notice, he only does 18k here. I'm assuming because they activated a meta fighter. Because if you look at the top left up here, you can see in that little picture icon next to the tactical icons, there's an image there of, I can't remember his name, but I know he's definitely from the anime. But I'm assuming that meta fighter is reducing the damage from other effects or something like that by 2,000. Although 18,000 is still a lot. That's just really overkill. Although, like, seeing this, the fact that God Emperor or Mega Emperor is on the board at this state tells me that they used a recovery thing. They do have a recovery Metaforce card. So it might be possible to play some of these later game cards if you like, because I know you need at least 3 barrier before you can play God Emperor. So maybe what the player did was they played God Emperor, used their a card to recover, then went back up to 4, or they could have changed God Emperor to something else. Either way, this is a very nice scene because you can actually see a lot of different effects on the board. We got 2 blockers, 1 on each side. We also have to, it looks like there's some kind of protective barrier on the opponent's right Medabot. But as I said, I can't wait to get my hands on this game and play it. I can't wait to make decks. I can't wait. I just can't wait, man. It's going to be so much fun to play this and create a whole bunch of new kind of decks and everything. But that's the end of the video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. That is my trailer analysis. If you have any questions, comments, or anything like that you'd like to let me know, please feel free to put it into the comments. In the description, I will have the original trailer. And as I said before, I do have on the channel the Google translated versions of those practice videos. So if you want to check those out, feel free to if you want to learn the game a little bit. But I can't wait for them to show off more about the game. I'll try to cover it as soon as possible. And one thing I hope is they show more of deck building. But anyway, hopefully you guys enjoyed. You have a good day.